And don't tell me that we have to be sane, because I pass war, and from the beginning I never be safe as a man, and I'm very happy because of that. I'm not able to bring in 50 kgs, but still it's very much position inside the army that at the time I'm able to do with my physical constitution. Who will counter extremism and radicalism? If somebody thinks that it's just man's job, they are very wrong. We have to speak with our sons. We have to speak with our husbands. We have to speak with our brothers. We have to speak with everybody who is ready to speak to us and tell them something very wrong happened in this world. And women have a very important role to stop this. If politicians don't involve us in this issue, speaking about extremism and terrorism, we are going to fail. Believe me, we are going to fail. We have to implement our regulations and laws because they are really good ones. We have to have media support, but not during the march, because I become so sick when somebody asks me to have an interview during the march, and I'm saying, please call me in November, in December, whenever, please forget March. We have to speak about quotas. Without quotas, this game is lost. So, women or women must not only be viewed as victims. We have to be principal actors in security. Thank you.
Thank you so much for this, such an inspirational presentation. I think everyone is engaged and everyone wants to ask so many questions, but we will leave that for later. Now you don't have an easy task. It was such a wonderful presentation, and I'm sure you're going to do the same one.
I'll try my best. Is it these two? Or, no, it's these two. I will try.
No,
Okay.
this one.
Yes.
This one? Oh, okay, good. Okay, thank you. I'll try to do it this way. Thank you very much for inviting me, and thank you. This was very inspiring. It's an honor to be here and see so many, or a few, familiar faces and many new faces. So regarding network, that'll be great. First of all, I wanted to tell you who I am. I'm a lieutenant colonel who is a battalion commander in the Belgian Armed Forces. So my ideas will come as you will have to see my ideas as a military. And besides me being a battalion commander, I'm also the chair-elect to the NATO Committee on Gender Perspectives. So everything I say, some ideas might be unconventional to you, but you have to bear in mind that it's from the military perspective. I have some key messages that are personal. I've got some information to share with you that's regarding the Belgian Armed Forces and what we do. So those two things will be the main things in my presentation. My two key messages are as follows. First, according to me, there's no men or women in the armed forces, only soldiers. So we're equal, and each of us with our own skill sets. That's one. Two, as stated by NATO, defense has to be a reflection of society. Still, to me, that does not mean that the armed forces need to have a 50% rate of men and women. But the presence of women is imperative in order to reach the over 50% of the target audience, whether it's at home or in operations. Because over 50% are women and children. The presence of women is imperative in order to do the right thing the right way, in order to have the right person on the right place, in order to be effective and improve operational effectiveness. So I prefer quality over quantity when it comes to the presence of women in the armed forces. I prefer it to take even 10 more years before I have a decent female general in my armed forces than having 20 now, but not being respected, if you know what I mean. What do we need? I always say we need 3 things in the armed forces. Brains. I suppose both men and women have the brains. We need muscles. And we also need finesse. And men might be better in the muscles, but I also think that women mostly are better in finesse. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah. Great.
Now, how do you have to do this? According to me, we should stop trying to convince everyone and our leaders that we have to do this and we have to do that when it comes to quantity. Just lead by example. I think Marta already talked about it. And show leaders why we need more presence of women in the armed forces. Show them that when it comes to security issues, we need people that can identify a problem, analyze it, and come up with a solution. And it doesn't matter whether it's a woman or a man, it's all about the human potential. To give you some ideas on the Belgian armed forces, oh my God, I did something wrong, it's here. Here?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. So where do we come from? It's only since 1975 that the first female soldiers were enlisted, and only a limited amount of functions were accessible to women. 2 years later, in 77, functions were not only accessible for women as soldiers, but also as NCOs and temporary officers. And it was as of 1981 that all functions, so really all functions, were accessible in all categories for men as well as women. I'm so bad at this. If you want to know where we are today, you will see that when it comes to specific functions, that you can see that in logistics and in medical, which is typical. You see many women, no worries, no problem. But you can also see that in the infantry. We have a good amount of women, over 11%, which I think is good. But when it comes to comparing categories, you will see that in the offices, where we have 11%, it's not that bad. But when you go to NCOs and soldiers, we're only at 7%. And this is due for a large number, because today in recruitment, most functions that are accessible or in recruitment, we go to combat functions. But that's changing now, thank God. So when you look at 2017, the idea is to recruit over 1,000 new, we're only an army of 32 people, 32,000 professionals. So we will recruit over 1,000 new soldiers, NCOs and officers, mostly in combat service and combat service support functions. So that's why I say it might change. And the focus will also be on women when it comes to recruitment. There was an article in a newspaper that stated, and it came from one of our press officers to the job, that women are much more useful on a mission. This is a literal translation in what was stated in the article. We need women in operations abroad, it said. As in many cultures, men are not allowed to approach the local women, so we need female soldiers to be able to get intelligence from the women. And I was like, hallelujah! I've been saying this for years. So lead by example, learn by repetition, as we say. So this is the press officer stating this in a news article. The press officer to the job, so our chief of defense, was good. What was done recently on the national level, 2 years ago, marked the publication of the second National Action Plan regarding women, peace and security. And innovative in this action plan was that there was yearly reporting to Parliament of all departments, so also of defense, regarding the progress on the gender domain. that also gave us the opportunity, it's been 2 years we've been doing this now, for all departments to what I call compare notes and share best practices. When it comes to defense level, last year our Chief of Defense, for the first time, stated in his policy note that specific attention is required to the gender dimension in every decision-making process and for all sub-departments of the Belgian Armed Forces. So that urged us not only to think about the gender dimension in operations, but also in our daily life, which is often forgotten. Regarding what's next, and what have we done in Belgian defense up till now, I want to talk to you about recruitment, military culture, communications and career. I'm going to go back one. Yes. The idea is to improve the presence of female personnel. I told you about 2017 and over 1,000 new people that will get enlisted with a focus on combat support and combat service support. You know I hate numbers by now, but this is where they want to go to. 15% of officers, 10% of NCOs and 10% of soldiers. But what was also very important, that since 2 years now, we've been organizing specific training sessions for female and male candidates, where at least 50% of the training sessions are solely for females, and it's been fruitful. It helped a lot for those people. When it comes to military culture, which is of course very important in our organization, but sometimes highly underestimated, since this year, respect as a behavioral competence is included in the assessment and evaluation of personnel and jobs. And respect relates to the 7 core values of our organization, being defense. There's also been a shift in the diversity policy towards those 7 values. And to give you an example, one of the things that the HR department has done is, in order to promote these values, is develop a comic book on the values. Because if you make a flyer or you make a booklet, no one reads it. A comic book, everyone reads it, or at least makes an attempt to read it. So that was a good thing. Regarding communications, some ideas came up to make our organization more attractive, and as in 2015 marked the year that we had a 40-year presence of women in the Belgian Armed Forces, so we also did some things with the media. And I would like to show you one. Do I get a minute? Could you click on the father? Yeah. So that was shown.
Maybe just a second for the lights to...
Okay.
Okay, it will be better. Should we turn it on now?
Okay. So this video was shown in all cinemas, on TV.
But I don't think there is a sound, so we
There's
can
no-
use the mic.
No, no, no.
Oh, you don't need to.
So that was a video show. It says at the end, thank you ladies for stepping up for us. Stepping up for us these last 40 years. When it comes to career opportunities, and this is the last thing I'm going to say, there we have some issues. We still have some issues because although many facilities have been provided for men and women, like a 4-day week, like daycare, childcare, maternity leave, we still have a long way ahead of us because you can do what you want, you can say what you want, but at the end, I'm also a mother. So you always have to make a good work-life balance and a good work-family balance. Men tend to forget this sometimes. I always say this to my husband anyway. Good. If I think about United Nations Security Council Resolution 3025 on women, peace and security, I think it's clear that it recognizes that women have earned their place around the table. Women have earned the right to fight for their nations, to fight for their ideals. So I don't think that's an issue. And I would like to